You have them? No. No. Yes. Jazakallah khairan. Yes. Well, of course. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Fadal.
OA from Riyadh, KSA. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. As a layman, is it okay to take the good and leave the bad of speakers who openly call to the beliefs of Wahdatul Wujud or Tawassul, Istighatha, etc.?
طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Question says, is it okay as a layman to take from someone who outwardly calls to things that are clearly wrong and are clear misguidance, whether it is saying that Allah is in unison with all of his created beings, everything that exists is Allah and everything, or Allah is everything that exists, waliyadhu billah. Or he says, al-istighatha, O messenger, O Muhammad, O prophet, help us, support us, give us victory over the enemies, etc. etc. Is that permissible for a layman to take from someone like this and to take the good and to leave off the bad? Very important question. The question comes from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And we're not really on a really strict time limit right now. So let's try to give a few basic principles. The first basic principle is there is a huge difference between someone being your personal sheikh, your personal muallim, your ustad, your teacher, your sensei, whatever word or term you use, and you just hearing something from someone. You came across something from someone. Or there's a book that's very beneficial. Or it's the best book available. Or the only book that's available on the topic or in English. And this person has these major issues or minor issues. There's a huge difference between the two. And many people, unfortunately, like other issues, they abuse it. And they mix oranges and apples. It's not the same. This is a person I look up to, I sit with, I learn from. This is a person that I'm with. I go to his classes. I went to his house. He came over to my house. We had tea and biscuits. I asked him to make dua for my son. I've studied under him books. He's my sheikh, my teacher, my ustad. That's not the same as I heard a statement from someone and it's a true statement. Or someone wrote a book and it's, like I said, the only book available on the topic in English. Or the best book available on the topic in English. And it's a good book. And the scholars, the tulab al-ilm, the people of expertise in English, they said it's a sound book. And his issues aren't in this book. Or his issues are in page such and such and such and such. So the first principle, and as our scholars would always tell us in Medina, you have to stick to principles. To usul, to qawaid, and to dawabit. You need guidelines, principles. There's strategy, and then there are tactics. You have to have both to be a strong student of knowledge and to be a layman Muslim, because we believe that layman Muslims should know certain principles as well. And we believe that layman Muslims should have certain things under their belt as well, even though they're laymen, to protect themselves from being victimized. Just like self-defense, to learn how to fight. I'm not an expert boxer. I'm not an amateur boxer. I'm not a prize fighter. I have no aspirations. I'm not that talented to be on TV boxing. But as a normal 9-to-5 going to work guy, if someone runs up on me, I can pick up my fists and defend myself. I can make it out of a fight in one piece. With minimum scratches, minimum lumps. Let alone I may what, Sadiq? Knock out the average person. Because some basic things that I've learned about boxing. How to slip a punch, how to duck, how to tuck your chin, how to ball up your fist and punch with the proper knuckles. Basic self-defense. Or any other system of self-defense that you have. Taekwondo, judo, whatever you want to call it. Whatever your culture is. Everyone understand this? Ancient Japan, ancient Korea, or Jamaica Queens. Whatever your system of self-defense is. And I'm not a fighter. I'm not an expert fighter. I'm not a prize fighter, but I know the basic principles that if someone runs up on me, pushes me in the corner, tries to oppress me and my family, I can at least defend myself and minimize the damage of the attack. Let alone I may myself what? Knock out the guy and minimize any or diffuse any damage. No, he didn't scratch me. Alhamdulillah, he didn't take my money. But I'm not just going to get pulverized and ran over, steamrolled by this attacker who just wants to take my money or do something to my daughter or to my sister or my mother. But I have some type of self-defense with me. Everyone understand this? That is the comparison of ilm. The layman is not supposed to be a sheep or a goat that's pulled and dragged into the direction of any shepherd that comes along. He's a sheikh, he's a scholar, he has a red and white scarf or a white scarf or a black scarf, he has a beard, follow him. And listen to everything that he says and take everything that he gives you. La. This is a graduate. This is this brother. This so take from him. No. I'm a layman, but I've been taught basic things. Something is not right about this person. I don't care what you say about him. I don't care what you say. I don't care what sheikh gave him tazkiyah. Something is not right about this person because of what I've learned. Something is not right. This person has no credentials. He never studied anywhere. How can he talk about this type of issue? And then why is he talking about these brothers and this one and that one? Something is what? Wrong. And I'm not a what? I'm not a scholar. Nor am I a student of knowledge. I go to work for 10 hours out of the day, 12 hours out of the day, but I know basic principles. So this is one of those basic principles, is that there's a difference between taking from someone and between studying with someone. Everyone understand this or not? The next basic principle is that there's a difference between someone who has a mistake, and it's a presupposed mistake, and something that's actually factually proven to be a khata. And there's a difference between a slip of the tongue and between a khata ilmi, a scientific error, in which a person said something based on what they actually believe, they're convinced in it. There's a mistake, or there's a difference between something that's agreed upon and something which the ulama differ. It's a principle. There's a principle based off of someone who said a mistake or wrote a mistake, and the mistake was found through fishing, tasayyudul akhta. We looked through his books. 10 brothers in one room at nighttime, and all of them are transcribing the lectures at night to make sure that they have some type of mistake for the refutation in the morning. Wallahi, we've seen this. That's not the same as a person who gave a lecture in front of a lot of people, and it became widespread, a widespread fatwa, and it was public. It was a what? A public fatwa that reached many, many, many people. That's not the same as me searching for my what? Brother's mistake. I want to find where you made a mistake at. Somewhere, somehow. Got him. And then I take a piece there, and then another book, and another lecture, and a 2-minute clip, and a 20-second clip, and a 30-second clip, and another vague statement, and an inexplicit statement. And then at the end of the day, mudhakkirat akhta Sheikh Fulan. This is the proof that we made him a mubtadi'. This is the proof that he's a mubtadi'. And that you have to call him a mubtadi', and everyone has to call him a mubtadi'. And this is the dalil. This messy, reckless collage of statements. This, I'll humbly say, in my opinion, is what has happened to 9 out of 10 people that were refuted. 9 out of 10. Scholars or students, 9 out of 10. And the people they say, Sheikh Fulan refutes Ahlul Bid'ah. Sheikh Fulan is Mujahid, he refutes Ahlul Bid'ah. La. Don't you understand, yeah, Anta, yeah, Miskeen? Is that once I speak about you and pick out these mistakes and put them together, supposed mistakes, in which I could be wrong, now my followers are now going to call you what? Ahlul Bid'ah. And they're going to say he spoke about what? Ahlul Bid'ah. But in actuality, I spoke about what? Ahlul Sunnah. And then by me attacking him, he now became what? Ahlul Bid'ah. And then a second, and a third, and a fourth, and a fifth. So in actuality, yeah, Anta, you've not refuted Ahlul Bid'ah. You've spoken, defamed, slandered, found these things, these messy pieces of Ahlul Sunnah, and then they automatically became unorthodox, off the market, and now they're mubtadi'. Everyone understand this? And this is what has happened for the last 25 years. In the United States, in Saudi Arabia, in Yemen, and other countries. Everyone understand this or not? That's not the same as someone who says a statement of clear kufr, in which there's no interpretation. That's not the same as someone in a 500-page book on this page and something that's been given out and handed out for the layman people to suck up and eat. It's not the same. Everyone understand this? Also, it's not the same as something that can be interpreted and something which has no interpretation. And also it's not the same as someone who's from the people of the Sunnah. Everybody in this room, in this city, in this state, in this country, we all know Brother Abu Amin. I known him for years. I knew him when he was a kafir, when he accepted Islam, when he went to Medina, when he graduated from the language program, when he went to the college, when he graduated from the college, when he did this degree. I know him. I know his background. My kids used to play with your kids. I know you, you know me. And then you made a mistake and you said something that's wrong. That's not the same as someone who's automatically a person of bid'ah from the what? From the get-go, from the asl. It's not the same. And the list goes on and on and on of these principles that are mentioned in the speech of the people of knowledge. And these principles which can be obtained for those who really want to obtain them by using common sense and just looking at how history repeats itself over and over again. In Sahih Ta'bir. Everyone understand this or not? So it's not the same. So therefore, from one aspect, the layman is not allowed to take the good and the bad from somebody like this. Wahdatul wujud or this statement of kufr. La, abadan. And from another aspect, we say if the truth is brought by someone or there's something which is clearly, tangibly beneficial, you take the truth from wherever you find it. But it doesn't mean you go and look for that truth. You don't search for good fish. You don't fish good fish in a muddy pond. It's a huge difference. Everybody understand this? You don't go to the place where the sign says, don't fish here. It's toxic fish. It's this type of fish. Iodine is in the fish. You don't go and look for a good fish. Even though you could what? Find a good fish. But that's not what you do. But that's not the same as an expert fisherman who knows the different types of, this fish carries this disease, this one doesn't. Everyone understand this? It has this color stripes, has that color stripes. You can eat that one, don't eat that one. That's not the same. The layman is not like a student. But that is not the same as the fish being brought to you and it's a good piece of fish. You don't say, oh, I'm not going to eat this because it came from a bad river. That's not Islam, nor is that common sense. But it doesn't mean that the layman is going to go to the bad pond or river and look for what? A good fish. Everyone understand these principles? It's very important stuff. And 9 out of 10 people who supposedly refute people and talk about people and this and that, they mix and they jumble these principles together. Most of them don't even know about them. And if they know about them, they hide them from the people because of monetary exploit, monetary gain. They want to be in charge of the people and control of the people. And have dumb, stupid, mindless followers behind them. That will give them money, houses, cars, young virgin women to marry and fill their egos while the other billah. This is the reality. If most other people are scared to say it, I'm not scared to say it. That's the bottom line. Everyone understand this? People that are evil, that hold the truth from their followers while the other billah. And then there are others who are ignorant and don't even realize that they're being manipulated and used and they're pawns on a chessboard. And the proof that they're pawns on a chessboard is at the moment they differ or they know they have no longer any value, they did what? They're plucked off the board. And now he's a what? Mubtadi'. Just yesterday, he was the allama. Just yesterday, he was the imam. Just yesterday, he was the strongest brother in the West. Now he's a what? Get out of here. You're no longer good. Don't take this from me. Open up your eyes and your ears. The truth is found for those who look for it. So there's a difference. There's a what? There's a difference. How you feed a baby is not like how you feed a toddler. How you feed a toddler is not like how you feed a 6 or 7 or 8-year-old. A 12-year-old is not like how a 6-year-old eats. This person can eat the fish, take out the bones, get rid of the scales, the eyeballs, the tail, etc. A baby eats what? Mushy food. Everything in the plate or the bowl has to be what? Soft, sweet, and edible and mushy for the baby because the baby doesn't have any teeth yet. The baby doesn't know a bone from this. Everyone understand this or not? So we live in a time in which people, they want to say that you can only serve food in one way. Only one dish to everybody. A grown man is supposed to eat like a little baby. A student of knowledge, a talib ilm, is supposed to behave like an ami, a layman. Don't sit with him. Don't read this book. Don't go there because he has a mistake. Or Sheikh Fulan says he has a problem. Or he has an issue with these brothers. Or so on and so forth. That's the approach towards a layman. Or a student of knowledge who is developed and mature. He's been studying for some years now. They treat him like what? A beginner. And they say, oh, brother Fulan, he's not Salafi because we didn't see him in the classes of Sheikh Fulan. We never saw him in Sheikh Fulan's house. This is the dalil. And wallahi, I'm not making this up. I name names if you want me to. They said, brother Fulan is not Salafi because we didn't see him in Sheikh Fulan's house ever. And I was in Medina for 5 years. I never saw him in Sheikh's house. Tell you. First and foremost, look how sick and how perverted this mindset is. If you don't sit with a specific scholar, you're going to the fire of hell. What type of Islam is this? If you don't sit with this scholar, you're automatically a deviant, and deviant is going to, based off of what you believe and understand. Number two, I've been in Medina for 10 years. You've been in Medina for 3 years. Is it not possible that I sat with Sheikh Fulan for 7 years while you still were in the UK? Is that not possible or not? Possible or not? Mumkin? Is it not possible I studied books with this sheikh and you still were a kafir? You didn't take your shahada yet? Or you didn't know Arabic yet? Is that not possible? It's very possible. Let alone the fact, are you in the sheikh's house 24/7? Are you there? Yes or no? You're not 24/7 if you wanted to. No matter how many hours, it's not 24/7. The masjid of the sheikh, where the sheikh teaches at. Are you there every place? No, you're not. Last but not least, I may have studied this book with Sheikh Fulan 5 years ago, and I've graduated from this class. I'm no longer studying this small beginner's metin. I've graduated from this college. I'm in a different college. I'm writing research papers. So is it expected of me to come and sit in a class with this person in the language program, this person on Umrah, this person on Hajj, this person can't speak Arabic, this person has dropped out 3, 4, 5 times, this person had to get a scholar to get him a letter to get him put back in school and study ABCs with him? Will someone who's graduated from Harvard study hooked on phonics? That's the mentality of these people. And of their sheikhs as well. And we have to get out of that as well. Stop blaming it on the students of knowledge and the da'is. They put a question, these evil scholars, these evil du'at. If the scholars only knew, where are they getting it from? You can't keep blaming a child for his behavior. The child is a child. He's simplistic, mentally, small, physically. The adult, the parent, or the uncle, someone is what? Teaching them how to behave in a systematic manner. A mistake, an isolated situation? Nah, it's the foolish translator. He didn't translate it right. The hasty guy in America. That's not what the sheikh really said. Here and there. But you can't keep saying that what? Over and over again. And the sheikh, he says, these people take from them in America. Take from them in America. They are the ones that you have to take from. So the sheikh knows what they're upon and agrees with it. Or he doesn't know what they're upon and he endorses them. The sweetest of the two is what? It's bitter. Everyone understand this? The sheikh knows that they're ignorant and they're hasty and they're barely studied. They're ashab fitna. He knows this and he endorses them and pushes them. Or make an excuse, which we should. The sheikh doesn't know. It hasn't reached him. He's in his house praying, in the masjid praying, he's reading, teaching. He doesn't know what the people are doing in the UK and what they're doing in New York. He doesn't know. So that means that the sheikh is heedless. He's heedless. He gives someone tazkiyah. He endorses someone, he praises someone, and he doesn't know what they're really upon. Let alone the fact, can you say that 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years? Can you say that? Can you keep making that same excuse? And thus making an excuse for a Muslim, let alone a scholar, someone who has a haqq in Islam, a station in Islam. Does that mean that you turn a blind eye and you make yourself totally naive and nonchalant and foolish? Is that what Islam wants from us? I make husnul dhan for you. Does that mean that I've clearly seen you do it? And I say, maybe he, that's not Islam, brothers. That's not the Quran or the Sunnah. Everyone understand this? When the witnesses bear witness to this person made zina, khalas. That's not the same as, are you sure he was making zina? Did you see him on top? Are you sure? Okay, he was in the room by himself. Doesn't mean he made zina with her. Just because his clothes were off and her clothes were off does not mean that he made zina with her. It doesn't mean that he penetrated her. It does not mean that. He touched her, he kissed her, an excuse is made. Husnul dhan for your brother. It wasn't 4 witnesses. That's one thing. That is not the Islamic ruling of 4 witnesses seeing the actual what? Act of zina. Then there is no, perhaps, la. Islam does not wish for anyone to be a fool. Everyone understand this? So this is something that's very serious and it's very dangerous. And the only reason why I'm giving this amount of time to it is because it's a major issue. And it's not okay for us to just keep acting like it doesn't exist and to keep ignoring it Or, as many of us do, we conveniently blame it on others. It's the fault of the students. It's the fault of the translator. It's the fault of this. No. This is a systematic thing that has been happening and that is happening to this day. And this system has destroyed countless communities, countless households. It has destroyed countless amount of potential for the true call of Islam and the Sunnah and the way of the Salaf as-Salih to spread. And for Muslims to learn and to benefit and build communities and masjids and homes. So this is not something that I want to meet Allah Azza wa Jal for on Yawm al-Qiyamah, and I didn't say anything. And if you say that you're talking about scholars, or you're disrespecting the scholars, or you're talking about this brother, or you're conceited and you're arrogant, or the way that you sit in the chair, one brother said, after the long video we did with Musa Richardson, the only thing he had to comment was, he says, the way that you sit in your chair proves that you're conceited. Nothing that we said, points, proofs, evidences, wala shay. That means nothing. But because I sit in the chair away, everybody understand this? If that's what you want to say, you want to call it, then so be it. I'd rather stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with this sheikh saying something against me, or this brother, or these people, than me having to answer to Allah. For you knowing something, experiencing it, being in it yourself, Allah saved you from it, and then you keep silent and just keep beating around the bush and talking about everything else. As Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan rahimahullah ta'ala said, when he was on his deathbed, they said, Ya Aba Sa'id, he says, aren't you afraid of these righteous men you've spoken about? Aren't you afraid of these ulama, these ubad, these worshippers, these zuhad that you spoke about, called them weak and fabricators and liars? Aren't you scared on your deathbed? Won't you take it back? He said, I'm not taking back anything, nor am I afraid. He said, for this person to be against me on the Yawm al-Qiyamah is more, he says, it's fonder to me than the messenger of Allah being against me on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And if the messenger asked me, you heard this hadith, you knew it wasn't authentic, and you didn't say anything. He says, I'd rather have you deal with me than the messenger of Allah. Everyone understand this? So it's not a joke. There are rules, there are principles with regards to seeking knowledge, with regards to benefiting, with regards to studying. Many of these principles are agreed upon by the ulama. Many of those principles, there's a difference of opinion among the ulama. And there's some principles that have been made up in the 20th century or the 21st century. They just made them up. Made on a petri dish. Petri dish, just make them up. This is a qaida. This is asl. And there's no qaida and there's no asl. And the ulama of Islam for 1300 years, 1400 years, they never ever said this or did this or made this rule. Everyone understand this? And then we have the hypocrisy, especially coming from an American background. They say you can't take anything from an unknown translator, or from a Hizbi translator, or from a deviant translator. But on their bookshelves is Ibn Kathir. Who translated Ibn Kathir? Let's see. Who translated it? Let's look at the translation. This is not even Ibn Kathir's book. This is a summarized version. Al-Misbah al-Munir, abridged, volume 5. Who's the translator? Who's the abridger? It says abridged by a group of scholars under the supervision of Sheikh Safiur Rahman al-Mubarakfuri. Who's he? And what's his position against Sheikh Fulan al-Fulani? Who's he? Who translated the book? This one volume is over 500 pages. Do you know who translated it? Sahih Bukhari. What you're going to find on the bookshelf of what? Everybody. Translated by Dr. Muhammad Muhsin Khan. Who's he? Where did he study? Who did he study under? Did he study hadith? Is he a doctor in science? Is he an engineer? And we can go what? Book after book after book after book, let alone the Webster's Dictionary, the Encyclopedia, the Thesaurus, GPS, all of those things that you clearly blindly follow, and if not blindly follow, you take from them, and you don't know who the translator is. Let alone the translator is like kafir, mushrik, munafiq, mulhid, atheist, and you benefit from it. But a brother that's been known for 20 years, who's graduated and studied and produced beneficial books, he's against Fulan, he didn't study with Fulan, don't take anything from his translation. And then the amazing thing about it is the sheikh who said those principles, he's now been kicked off the bus. And his name mysteriously vanished and disappeared. His name is gone. You'll never see his name in a forum, in a book, or anything. Go back 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago, his name was brought up all of the time. Sheikh Fulan, Sheikh Fulan, Sheikh Fulan, Sheikh Fulan, Sheikh Fulan. He's refuted him. He said this, he's that. And now they just mysteriously what? Don't mention his name anymore. Everyone Everyone understand this? So the one who brought up this made-up principle is also now what? A deviant. Afala taqilun. Shall you have any sense? Will you not use your brains a little bit? So that's what I want to say on the subject. And then, like I said, if it wasn't of that importance, that status, that amount of importance, I wouldn't have spoken on it like I've done. And Allah Azza wa Jalla surely knows best. And we've spoken on many issues like this before. And it needs much more time and attention. And Allah knows best. Next question from online.
OA from Riyadh, KSA. Assalamu alaikum Mufti. Is it problematic to have false images of Allah pop up in your mind when reading about His names and attributes?
Says, is it problematic to have false images of Allah pop up in your mind when you read about His names and attributes? Without a question, it's problematic. And that's based off of the question itself. False images. You yourself are acknowledging that the image that you have of Allah is false. Of course that's problematic. Okay, that's first and foremost. Secondly is, how do you know it's false? How do you know? Have you seen Allah? How do you know? It's a very tricky question here. How do you know what's false? Secondly is, a Muslim who's upon a natural fitrah, and also a Muslim who has a sound mind, keep that in mind as well, and is reading from the proper sources, is not the same as someone who has an ill mind or not reading from the proper sources, or his fitrah has been distorted. Even if he's a Muslim, the word fitrah doesn't just mean acknowledging Allah. There are other meanings of the word fitrah as well. Just having a sound mind, or the natural way. I was abused when I was younger. I was exposed to this. I was forced to do that. That part of my fitrah is now what? It's been stripped bare. It's gone. It's not the same as someone who's been raised in a natural, pure way. They get married and it's normal because they're on their fitrah. Someone who's watched this in abundance, his mind is no longer on his what? Fitrah. Wahakada. So it depends. Right? Everyone understands it does what? It depends, yani. Al-Muhim, seek Allah's refuge. Whenever you get anything from the shaitan, seek Allah's refuge. Ask Allah to protect you. Ask Allah to take it away from you. And know that nothing is like Allah Azza wa Jal. Laysa kamithlihi shay. Allah Azza wa Jal is above and beyond that which you think about and feel and conjure. Everyone understand this? And ask Allah Azza wa Jal also to allow you to see Him on the Day of Judgment, which is the greatest joy and blessing of Jannah. And Allah knows best. Abu Amin.
I heard something online. Now, looking at something, basically some critics to Salafiyya who claim that essentially Salafis have now split into many different sects, at least 7, and that basically they don't even agree in Aqidah. Is this correct? And if so, is it based on something legitimate from Islam that they differ in Aqidah?
Question says, I read something from online with regards to some critics of, this is the questioner, these aren't my words, some critics of Salafiyya or Salafis regarding that the Salafis have split up into groups and sects and schisms and a different Aqidah. Is this correct, etc.? There is an issue that pertains to the sciences of Hadith. And this issue is Mas'alatu riwayat al-Hadithi bil-ma'na. Is it permissible? Is it impermissible? Is it disliked? Is it okay to narrate a hadith verbatim and not actually word for word? Is it permissible to mention a hadith with a general meaning? For example, inside Bukhari, let's say it says, Al-amalu bin-niyyah. Is it permissible for me to say, Innama al-amalu bin-niyyat? Or do I have to say the specific word of the Messenger of Allah, Al-amalu bin-niyyah? That's an example. Or can I change it up with the condition that I don't distort the meaning? That I don't what? Distort the meaning. The meaning is sound. These are based off of intentions. These are only based off of intentions. These are with the intentions. It's one meaning. Or do I have to stick to the actual what? Specific wording, like reciting the Quran. You can't mix it up. You have to recite exactly what is in the Quran. Hadith is different. And the ulama are different on that issue. The scholars will say that it is permissible to do that. You can narrate a hadith like that. They say min adillatihi kawnuhu qad waqa. They said the proof that it's permissible is that it happened. And the Sahaba themselves and the Tabi'in themselves, they did what? They narrated hadiths and it wasn't word for word. They say this is one of the strongest proofs that it's what? Permissible. The fact that it has happened. And it happened for a very long time. So that's the proof in itself. Forget the other things. Allah told us about Ad and Thamud and Fir'aun and Musa, and He told us in Arabic. All those different proofs. Forget all that. The fact that it is what? Happened. And hadith that they use, نَضْرَ اللَّهُ إِمْرَأً سَمِعَ مَقَالَتِي فَوَعَاهَا. May Allah brighten the face of a man who hears what I say, memorizes it perfectly, and passes it on. They say that hadith itself was passed on by what? Verbatim. So they say that it's permissible as long as one does not distort the text. So with regards to your question, is this valid criticism or not? We say the proof that it's valid criticism is what? Is that it's what? It has happened. And no one, no matter how pious or righteous, can deny the reality that people who say that they are Salafi have split up into different groups. Once I was in Minneapolis, Minnesota, about 4 years ago, we were in a mall, going to make Salat al-Maghrib. We're walking up the steps. The brother, he walked up to me. He started speaking to me in Arabic. I didn't see this guy a day in my life. I didn't know who he was. He says, Ya akhi. He says, which Salafiyya are you with? He says, هل أنت مع السلفية الجهادية ولا السلفية السرورية ولا سلفية الشيخ فلان وكذا وكذا. He asked me, 3 or 4 different brands of Salafi. He says, which one are you which? So I looked at him. I'm in Minnesota and I'm like, كيف حالك يا أخي? Alhamdulillah. And I darted up the steps to the musalla. I don't know who you are. I don't know what type of recording device you're wearing. I don't want to say anything to you in a mall of hundreds of brothers about this Salafiyya, Jihadiyya, so on and so forth. Against the rulers, with the rulers. I'm not talking about that. The point is that he wanted to know which type of Salafi am I? So the proof of what this person is saying is that it is actually what? It's happened. And no one can deny the reality. If you go on YouTube or Google or any website, you'll find 10 websites. You may find 10 different versions of Salafi. Here in New York City, we're Salafi, they're not. This person, this term, they're with this sheikh, they're with another sheikh. He was with us, he branched off, he fell off, he's refuted, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. I'm understanding this? So no one can deny a reality of life. It's happened, unfortunately. How has it happened? Why has it happened? What's the ruling on these different groups that all call themselves Salafi? The point is that it has what? Happened. And from the most early exponents of Adawah to Salafiyya, and that's a discussion in itself, because back in the day it was never Salafiyya, or at least not what I remember. It was always Adawah to Salafiyya. Many years ago when I was much younger, all the t-shirts and the hoodies and the hats said Adawah to Salafiyya. And everyone said Dawah Salafiyya, Salafi Dawah. You remember this? Or you maybe too young. It was never what? Salafi. It was always Salafi Dawah. And then some years went by, this sheikh died, this one died, he got refuted, this one rose to prominence, and then it just became what? Salafiyya. And never ever, or very seldom, will you hear them say Salafi Dawah. But it's just what? Salafi. As if Salafi is a what now? A grade higher than what? Salafi Dawah. From the early exponents of this, we all know Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala. He propagated this, he supported this, he defended this. And what was the rationale of Shaykh Al-Albani to call yourself Salafi? There were others. We said from, not the only. What was his rationale? Is it correct to call yourself Salafi? Do you have to? We're not discussing that. That's not on the table of discussion. I'm just trying to prove a point here. One of the reasons why he said that you have to call yourself Salafi, or you can call yourself Salafi, is for distinction. It's for the different groups and the different calls and dawahs and practices to be distinctly known. That we call ourselves the orthodox practice, pure and organic. That's the purpose of putting organic on what? On a label. To know that it's not GMO, insecticides, pesticides, etc. Everybody clear on this or not? So the most ironic and mind-boggling thing is that the original purpose of that one Shaykh Al-Albani rahimahullah, today is now what? What is his purpose now today? What is it? Who knows the answer? His purpose is now what? It has become what?
Useless.
Totally useless. There's no more distinction. Because among those who say they're Salafis, they're what? 7 or 8 different groups. And all of them say this. And that's why they use different terms. Salafi, wadih. When I was in Medina in 2002, Salafi, wadih. That was the word they were using. Clear, Salafi. And then when that sheikh, when he got refuted and thrown off the bus and thrown over the boat into the river, tied to a bag of cinder blocks, to drown at the bottom, they stopped using the term wadih. Wallahi al-azim. Everybody understand this? And then they come with a new word, a new fancy term. Nowadays, they're using a fancy word, an exotic word that the average person doesn't even know what it means in Arabic, let alone in English. Everybody understand this? So the original purpose of Sheikh Albani using the term has now become totally void. And this is what we said in Philadelphia a couple weeks back, is that you attack people and you say that they are disrespecting the scholars and talking about the scholars. You say, no, you have disrespected the scholars. And you have caused the people to lose trust and respect for the scholars. You yourselves, even though you don't really realize it. So Al-Albani, rahimahullah, his whole argument, the guy said, I'm Muslim upon Quran, Sunnah, and understanding of the Salaf. Sheikh Al-Albani says, why not just sum it up and say what? Salafi. Make it easy for yourself. The people, that term, what value does it have today? You get on the news, they say, Osama bin Laden Salafi. You go on a website, it says, this sheikh is Salafi. You go on this website, it says, the brother is what? Salafi. This one that was refuted, he still calls himself what? Salafi. What distinction is there based off of what you have done? So this is a reality. You understand this? This is a what? No one can deny the reality of this. That this, unfortunately, this has happened. The people have split up into small, tiny groups. As far as Salafi is different in Aqidah, that's a very long discussion. And unfortunately, many brothers, they've abused that as well. Taking different statements of different scholars. The Salaf never differed in Aqidah. لم يختلف السلف في هذا. أجمع السلف على هذا. أجمع أهل السنة على هذا. And they've abused those terms. There are many issues, without question, whether it's Aqidah or other than Aqidah, in which the pious predecessors unanimously agreed. No doubt about that. And there are other issues in which it's clearly proven the Salaf themselves what? They differ. Whether it's in Aqidah or other than Aqidah. And whether it's from the foundations of the Aqidah, the core issues, or the furu'at, the branches, it doesn't matter. Whether it's from the core or the branch, it's all a part of one what? Thing. This is a tree. The leaf, the berry, the twig, the branch, the root, the bark, the wood, all of it is called what? A tree, oak tree. I would understand this or not. It doesn't matter what part it is, but it's all what? It's all a part of the tree. So regardless whether what type of Aqidah issue it is, if they agreed on it, alhamdulillah. But if we find Mujahid saying this and Aisha saying that, and Ibn Umar used to do this, then you can't say in this issue that the Salaf Salih did what? Agreed. Everyone understand this? Next point is, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, if my bad memory serves me correctly, he was quoted to have said, and this is many years ago I read this statement, that what's meant by al-usul is not just Aqidah. What's meant by usul ma ajma alayhi salaf is what the Salaf agreed upon. Even if it's an issue of salat or hajj or this or that, what they agreed upon, and which a person cannot come with his own ijtihad. Al-masail allati tudallalu or yudallalu fiha al-mukhalif. The one who's going against it is now called what? You're astray now. That's not the same as the issue in which there's room for ijtihad. Or even if there's no room, but there was what? There was khilaf. Everybody understand this or not? Last but not least, I would humbly say, the people who made an uproar against certain students of knowledge who said that the companions even differed in Aqidah, I don't think they made an uproar based off of ghayratan ala-din. They were jealous for the religion and its mistake and its misguidance. I don't think so. And I could be wrong. It's not a hadith or a fatwa. I'm telling you what I feel. I feel that they made such a great uproar because it was opening up the door for their followers to think and their followers to be affected and for them to have less control and a looser noose around the people's neck or the people's necks. I.e., if you're refuting me and hollering at me and screaming at me and boycotting me and abandoning me because of this issue of the mihrab or the minbar has more than 3 steps, or my pants are beneath my ankles, or whatever the case may be. One says, Akhi, subhanAllah, the Sahaba differed on Aqidah, not disposition, on what? What's greater? What's more dangerous now? Mihrab or what? Aqidah. So the brother's saying, like, to do what? Relax. I'm still a Muslim. Don't beat me upside the head with a club over this issue and that issue, because there were greater issues over which the companions themselves, who directly studied with the Prophet, differed on. So who are we to fight over this issue, or who are you to declare me to be an innovator over that issue? I think that's what the brother meant when he said that statement. I didn't make that statement, so I'm not responsible for that statement. But that's what I feel he meant by that. And that's what I think the usage of it was. And that's what I feel and think that's why they made such an uproar. You can't get the people to understand this now. If the companions different on Aqidah, then who are we to say he's a Mubtadi' because the member has a fourth member? The fourth step. The member has a fourth step. Or is the brother, he said, he's not Salafi because he takes money for classes. That's my proof that he's not Salafi. And he's from Ahlul Bidah and he's going to the fire of hell. One says, how can you say that when the companions different on Aqidah? And they didn't disrespect each other, and the Tabi'een didn't disrespect them, and the ulama took those different views. So we have to have, we got to be realistic, guys. Fake piety and act like we don't know, it's not going to work. Let's keep it real. The more ignorant you are, and the more I can control you, the more power it gives me. The more influence I have over you. And the moment somebody goes against our agenda, without no shyness, a scholar that came to the UK, that went to Birmingham, that went to London, Allama, is now a shaitan, dal, mudil. He's worse than the Jews and the Christians because he went against our agenda. They have no respect for scholars. It's a lie. They don't respect any scholars. They only respect those who suit their agenda and who empower them. They only respect those scholars that give them the tazkiyah to be in control of the people. Everyone understand this? So this is the bottom line. I want you to be dumb and stupid. I want you to be brainwashed. I want you to only take from me and nobody else. Only take from the people that we all see eye to eye on everything. Only us. And I'm going to disguise it. I'm going to perfume it. I want to paint it. I want to give it a different image, a different outward appearance to make it seem like something. But the core issue is this. The dumber you are, the more I can control you. The more I control you, the more money in my pocket. The bigger my house, the faster my car, the more beautiful the woman I can marry, and the better it makes me feel, even though I never even studied overseas. I was an English teacher. I dropped out of school. I didn't even graduate. I was never formally trained. I haven't memorized the Quran. My Arabic is poor. But I'm the head student of knowledge in the whole West. What type of ridicule is this? Do you know how big the West is? The British Isles, the island, Great Britain, UK, London, whatever you call it, is only a small, tiny section of the what? Of the what? Of the West. The West includes what? Canada, North America, Central America, South America, Mexico, the Caribbean, Australia, South Africa, maybe one may say Madagascar, the entire European continent, Russia, Italy, Germany, Sweden, all of that is considered what? The West. So are you telling me that this one person who barely studied, who can barely speak Arabic, who's a laughing stock, is the representative of the entire West? You gotta be joking, man. You can't be serious. But the one who studied overseas, formally trained, formally educated, the one who's never been accused of scandal, of being alone with this woman, or being alone with this one, or taking this money, or doing this or doing that, he's totally useless. Don't take anything from him. You gotta be joking me. You gotta be kidding me. And the reason is because there's a master and servant relationship. This person, you endorse me there, make me famous, spread my legacy, and I'll endorse you from over here, even though you don't have the qualifications for your position. But me and my popularity and my influence, if I just say your name, that's good enough. As it states in the hadith, that when I praise someone, it's automatic good for them, and when I dispraise someone, it's automatically bad for them. In the madhi zayn, within me shamed. The Prophet ﷺ says, "That Allah." He says, that's only for Allah. This is a reality. But if you actually look at the critical facts, what qualifies you for this position? What formal hardcore study do you have? Except for Sheikh Fulan. He endorses you. Why does Sheikh Fulan endorse you? Sheikh Fulan is a doctor. It's a PhD. You have nothing. Why would he even say you're the best person qualified to teach the people in the whole West? Something is wrong. Unless there's something deeper than that. You push me, scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And I have to control people. I have to be in charge. I need to be in charge. Why is the most ignorant person in charge of everybody? And the brothers who actually studied and graduated, they're always beneath the ignoramus that studied for a couple of years. Something is seriously wrong, guys. And it's been seriously wrong for many, many, many years. So that's my opinion on that issue. And Allah surely knows best. There are many principles and statements and proofs and evidences they don't want to get out. They don't want to let out to the people. Because once they're let out, the people are no longer their slaves. And if you want to have a slave, it's not about beating them and whipping them and hanging them. It's about what? Controlling their minds. A slave mentally. Enslave them mentally and their body is simple and easy. The Lynch syndrome. This is part of American history. And that's why slaves weren't allowed to do what? Read or write. Because he may just pick up a book. He may just find something. He may know how to read and I don't know how to read. And I can't have that. So if you want a slave, keep them dumb and ignorant. And the easiest way of keeping someone dumb and ignorant is monopolizing and limiting their sources. Even though there's some knowledge in the circle, but it's what? Extremely limited. The translations, the scholars you can listen to, the people you can listen to, extremely limited. Let alone cutting, trimming, adding things, putting things that don't belong in, taking things out, and keeping secret. And anyone who's willing to speak out against them and put out this secret and mention this hadith and quote this fatwa and this other scholar, this other position, like you've seen us do, he's automatically what? Has to be. He's a mubtadi', he's a hizbi, he's evil, he doesn't know the scholars, he's kada, he thinks he's a scholar. And so he thinks he's a scholar. He's answering questions by himself. A'udhu billah, what is this? Because they don't want people to go against their agenda. Yeah, Sheikh, in America, we have a question. What is your view? Yeah, Sheikh, what's the ruling on making wudu after you use the bathroom? That's what they want. You can't get no information from a scholar unless it comes from what? My translation. You're my slave. I control you. It's dangerous. May Allah help us and protect us all. We will stop here with this question. Anything that I said which is good is from Allah. And if I said anything which is bad is from myself and it's from the shaitan. And the last disclaimer, last but not least, anything that I've quoted of my personal opinions and my personal views, or my personal opinions and my what? Personal views. And that's what they are. You don't have to agree to them, respect them, you don't have to, not best. But they're what? My views that I'm basing off of what I feel was correct. If I'm wrong, may Allah forgive me. And if I'm right, Allah knows best.